Hello and welcome back to my studio. We're in the middle of a heat wave here in the UK, so I thought I'd cool off a bit by painting this tranquil seascape. I'm using a limited palette today and painting very loosely, so why not join me? But first, if you like this style of painting, a quick plug for my book, Landscapes in Watercolour. I've left a couple of links in the description below if you're interested in this book, which is suitable for beginners and intermediates. Lots of information about basic watercolour painting with some more advanced techniques. So check out the links below for more excerpts and information. Here's my very loose pencil sketch, just indicating the horizon lines, a couple of headlands and a beach. Pause the video here if you want to take a closer look. I'm going to be painting most of the painting wet in wet, so I'm wetting my paper all over. My paper is Saunders Waterford cold press watercolour paper and it's taped to my board with ordinary decorator's masking tape, and my board is at an angle of about 20 degrees tilt. This is a mixture of turquoise and Prussian blue. I'm using a large wash brush. Mine is a Princeton Aqua Elite Mottler brush, so it's a flat brush. I'm spreading it across my sky area, allowing the paint to run out on the brush so it's paler towards the bottom. This is a medium-sized mop brush. It's clean and damp, and I'm using it firstly to soften some edges and then back to the mottler to bring out some smaller clouds closer to the horizon that are in the far distance, and this way I get the look of depth and distance and perspective in my sky. Dragging a few wide brush marks with the mottler across the foreground just creates the start of my water and my beach. I can clean up my horizon line or the edges if I need to with a clean damp flat brush. This is a 3/4 inch flat. I've now dipped into really rich, almost tube consistency sepia, indigo and a bit of Payne's grey. I'm using this to create my beach using horizontal brush strokes, mostly the tip of the brush. My background wash is drying very quickly, but things are still diffusing and softening a little bit as I paint. Because of the heat though, I'm having to work a little bit more quickly than usual. I just want to get in these distant headlands with this dark colour, but allow it to just soften back a little and diffuse into the damp paper so that we get that sort of aerial perspective and the look of depth and distance. And I can switch between my two brushes to soften any areas that I want, and then just to continue to establish the beach coming from the midground to the foreground. And I hope you can see that by adding a little rich paint here and softening a little bit there, I'm kind of balancing up and building up the look of my beach. And that's most of the painting done. I'm just going to leave it to dry completely and then come back and finish it off. So now this layer is dry, bearing in mind it's a lot brighter in real life than it looks at the moment because the sun is streaming in through the windows of my studio, which of course is wonderful, but it is bleaching the colour out a little bit. So I've got my flat brush again, and this time I'm painting using the wet on dry method rather than the wet on wet method. And this means the rich paint that I'm placing onto the beach to create rocks and stones leading into the water are staying where I put them and not softening and diffusing. And so this richer, darker layer is beginning to define the foreground beach and suggest it in a more sort of definite way, and it should hopefully start to pull the painting together. This is my size 5 palette knife, and I'm gently scraping into the rich dark paint to create a lighter highlight across some of these rocks and stones, and just to add a bit of texture into this very simple landscape. I'm just going to swap to a small brush with a good point and paint in a couple of suggestions of little yachts in the distance. Just making a couple of small brush strokes for the hulls, and then I'll carefully use the tip of my brush to create sort of really thin line for the mast on each, just barely touching the paper. And hopefully just these little simple shapes that aren't really boats at all should, within the context of this loose painting, suggest that those are yachts just peacefully moored up in the distance. And I think just to finish things off, I've picked up a bit of paler blue from the palette from my sky colour. I'm just going to drag a little bit of that paint across this headland on the right, and then pull up a few vertical lines, fine ones, again similar to the masts, just to kind of give the impression maybe of some more boats moored up on the far shore. Just doesn't really need to be complicated, just as simple as that will create the impression, as this is a very loose painting. And I hope you can see what a simple, beginner-friendly style this is. It can take a bit of practice to get used to controlling the water in your brushes, your paint mixtures, and of course on your paper. But it's well worth persevering with this sort of thing, because it can be really satisfying to produce these sort of simple, loose watercolour landscapes. I've removed the tape, and seeing it with its clean white border, it's still a little bit bleached out. I'll see if I can get a photograph of it looking a little bit more like it does in real life. And here it is. This is a better representation of these beautiful summer colours. So a nice simple demonstration, and hopefully you'll be inspired to try something like this yourself. Just go for it. Don't worry if it doesn't work out the first time. Then turn the paper over and try again on the back with this limited palette of turquoise, Prussian blue, indigo, Payne's grey and sepia. If you found this useful or enjoyed the video, then please click on the thumbs up button, and I'd love to invite you to subscribe to our channel. It's free to do, and it really does help with our reach here on YouTube. And if you'd like to support the channel, then you can hop over to Patreon. The links are in the description below. Thank you so much to everybody that supports us on Patreon. We couldn't run this free-to-view YouTube channel without you. I'll see you again soon. Take care and happy painting. Bye.